Okay, good morning, soil students. Welcome back to Lincoln Land, at least virtually. This week we've been talking about soil conservation, week 15. In your lab yesterday you looked at the USLE equations. Today we're going to be looking at the augmented reality sandbox. This is a tool we would have used in lab if we were here. I get to play in the sand, you don't, sorry, but you can enjoy it virtually. All right, so we talked earlier this semester about the water cycle, and when it rains, if we want to make it rain here, we just hold our hand above this thing. And so now you can see water showing up. What the virtual reality, this augmented reality sandbox is doing is it shows the contours of this white sand down in here. And if we mount it up, it's got a Kinect camera on it and it reads it and it changes the slope. These lines you see are topographic lines. But if we make it rain, just hold our hand above it here, and you can see water starts to show up. And it shows you where the water flows to. So while we're trying to improve infiltration, we know there's going to be some runoff. So the question is, where is it going to run off to? How fast is it going to run off? What can we do to reduce erosion? But at the same time, we can't just let it lay on the soil surface. We've had some significant rain this week. I had 1 inch and 7/10 at my house. The terraces at my house still have water in them. Hopefully they'll be drained out or dewatered by tomorrow, because any of those crops planted that are underwater more than 48 hours, they're not going to survive. Or if they do, they're stunted. So what are we going to look at here? If this is our typical central Illinois area, and they're pretty flat, 0 to 2%. So now it's raining, okay? We can make it rain some more. And so what's happening with the water? You can see there, it just kind of lays there, all right? So we could talk about putting tile in, but we will have some pieces of ground here in our area that have some slope. And so now we're going to simulate that, okay? So now I've got some sloping areas. Well, what happens when we get rain on those? So now you can see the water is going to follow those contours and find the low spots. So now we've created ponds in these fields. Right? One of the things we want to try to do, though, is make sure that we don't get a lot of excess erosion on these slopes, a lot of water running off in a hurry, because we know that's going to carry water with it. So you can see that water moving down slope in a hurry there. Okay, we want to prevent that. How are we going to do it? Well, in your lab, we talked about things like strip cropping, which means that we would have a row of small grains and then a row of row crops and then another set of small grains, maybe the width of a planter, each one. And so when it rains, what happens when we've done that? Put some water over here on top of the hill. So that water, you can see it'll run along these, and these little furrows, or the rows, the strip cropping, acts like little miniature terraces. The other thing we could do is contouring, farming around the slope. We talked about the value of that in your lecture notes. But the last thing then is a terrace itself. Now, terraces are expensive. They're long-term investments, okay, in a field. It's not something we're going to go do with a tractor and a blade. This is going to take some earth-moving equipment and a specialist. But what we're going to do when we build terraces is that when it rains and that water wants to flow, it's going to run into that terrace, and you can see it here. It's catching it. So instead of flowing down slope into the basin at the bottom, it's following along the base of the terrace. We'd put a drainage tile right there and right there so that we could pull that water out. So I wanted you to get to see this. Hopefully somewhere down the road you'll get a chance to work with this tool. But this is the augmented reality sandbox. And so when we're talking about ways we can reduce erosion on slopes, remember we're looking at contouring, strip cropping, and terraces. Thank you. Have a good day.